Today, I am very excited to shoot this video. Not because of the topic, but because of a reason I'm gonna talk about in just a second. But this seems like a pretty good topic. I'm a coward, and I don't know how to stop it. And basically, person is 31, stuck to the same point. Because, well, while you could read the whole post yourself, I want to take a moment to highlight the parts that I think are important. Everyone around me is moving on with their life. This implies that this person is standing still, right? I'll get new jobs, new friends, get kids, blah blah blah. Stuck here at 31, stuck to the same point because I'm too much of a coward to make the first steps to change my life. I could be much more than I am. I hate the town I live in, but I am too comfortable to make any effort to move. Still in love with my ex, but I refuse to admit it because I don't want a relationship. I don't want to make any progression of my job because I am scared. I let people walk over me because I am afraid of confrontation. I live in fear. Fear of the change, fear of what I could feel. Hurt people, they could hurt me, fear of failure. How do you step outside of your comfort zone? I am ashamed of being a coward. I don't know why I can be like everyone else and live my life 100% progress in my life, and so on. Okay, so let's troubleshoot this. Why I am excited is I wanted a tablet so I can explain. Oh, wait, that's not a pen. Explain with writing instead of with a mouse, but now I have it. So let's talk about this problem, right? Okay. So, from this person's perspective, right? Here this person is and they're standing still while all the other people, right? They're all progressing like this way and this person is standing still. And I think that's the first thing that we kind of need to discuss because why? But when you look at the actual reality of the, life, from everybody else's perspective, they might be the one staying the same and you might be the one progressing, right? Because how many people what percentage of people do you think are 100% happy with their life? Not that many, right? So in this person's mind, right? This person has a brain and this brain knows this person really, really well. But the thing is, it only knows what other people do when they observe them, right? They don't know what's happening inside of their brain. Therefore, when they just look at this person might have a definition of the word forward, right? But it is only this person's definition of the word forward, and it doesn't universally apply. So what I'm saying is, while person A is observing person B and thinking, wow, B is really moving forward with their life, there's nothing stopping B from thinking, I'm stuck. Right? Because why? The definition and the notion of stuck is created in B's brain. Therefore, there's no absolute stuck. There's no absolute forward. And it is all relative to the person who defines it. I think this seems like a trivial point, and because I'm mentioning it at first, it seems like the minor point, but I think the more time you spend thinking about, like, I have this opinion of life, and I think A, I think B, I think C. We make the error of thinking A is this like definitive golden block of A, and this is the most absolute, right? It's like the golden A with like sparkling, and this is the world's universal definition of what A means. But that's not the case. It is we observe this A with our eyes, ears, and feeling, taste, smell, think. We look at this idea of an A and we have a copy of the notion of A, of this idea, right? So this is what basically like perfectionism is kind of all about, right? So suppose B is like perfectionism. We think there is this like notion of a perfect, but the thing is like absolute perfection doesn't exist. What's the most perfect basketball like shot? What's the most perfect baseball pitch? What's the most perfect painting? What's the most perfect music? Such a thing doesn't exist. It's all relative. Your perfect is not my perfect. My perfect is not your perfect, right? So, perfect only exists within the confines of the definition, right? Whoever defines perfect has a perfect version of a perfect inside of their head. But that notion of perfect doesn't exist universally. So, the more time you spend thinking about this, the more you can stop believing in the idea of I am behind. And even being liberated from this notion of behind, I think, is already a very powerful moment. So I think that's the first food for thought. Second food for thought is this. Okay, so why in life, why do we stand still? We typically stand still in front of this fork in the road. And this fork, right? 9 times out of the majority of the times, it's between making the right decision and the wrong decision. And when we have this kind of a fork, and we have the option to progress either this way or this way, we think. But in reality, what you can do is stay at the same place or even regress, right? So there's more degrees of freedom than you think in this situation. But what kind of a mindset, what kind of a thought pattern traps us here? It is when there is a lot of benefits from making the right choice. Also, it is when there are lots of negatives for making the wrong choice. These factors can be independent. So, it's like a lottery ticket that you get from a friend. And it already has the numbers kind of in here. Okay, so you didn't buy this ticket, right? Therefore, you have a lot to potentially gain. But the negative is like downside, you didn't even pay for it. So it's okay. There's no risk in it. Another thing is on the other side is like for example, like a 5K. And suppose you're not that passionate of a runner. Okay, so when you get the medal for the 5K, if you're outside of the United States, it's like basically like a running competition or something like that. When you get the medal, this doesn't really mean anything to you because you don't really care about running. But hey, you can get injured and you can be really tired. Or like hiking. If you're not a hiker, right? If you don't care that much for a hiker, and your family is forcing you to go, like, yeah, you arrived at the top, but it's not that great. But at the same time, it's just really taxing to the body to hike, right? So, like this, there's a lot of the consequences for making the right decision, consequence for making wrong decision. These can be independent, but the effects of this really tend to compound when you kind of mix the two together. So when you have a lot to gain and also when you have a lot to lose from getting wrong, this is when the pressure is on, right? This is when you really, really can't make the decision to move forward. So I put the right here, I put the wrong here, but in reality, like, you're going to face decisions like stay at job or interview. Which one's gonna be the right choice? Which one's gonna be the wrong choice, right? This missed, the fact that life doesn't give you the answer key beforehand is the beautiful part about life, depending on the perspective, but also it's the most stressful part about life, right? Because you don't know. And again, like I said before, when the net positive is so much bigger than the net negative, and the net negative is so punishing, then it can be a real pickle. So how do we handle this? Well, we have to figure out what could go wrong. Like, okay, this person is staying at the same job and basically not moving forward, right? So here this person is, and then there's the road forward, but then they're not moving. Why? And this person did a great job at identifying the why, right? Fear. But we have to be more specific than that. Fear of what? Fear of, like, dragons? Is there gonna be a dragon here? Fire-breathing dragon? Or is there, like, a cockroach here? Fear of what? Fear of, like, people's disapproval? Fear of what? If you can identify what that fear is, right? Then you can make concrete plans to address that fear. But while the person here isn't in front of me, I can kind of presume what this person is fearing. And what this person is fearing, and what a lot of people in this situation are fearing, is disappointment. And when you are afraid of disappointment, you cannot really make any meaningful advancements in life. But that means we could understand disappointment a little bit more, right? Why? Oops. Why do we get disappointed? We get disappointed because we put a lot of expectations. So why do we put expectations on things? Again, because on the plus side, there's such a great thing to gain, and on the minus side, there's such a big loss. Expectation has to do with really, really, really coveting this. And why do we really, really, really covet the great prize? It is because our current state of life is not satisfactory. We are fed up with this poop box, right? We are fed up with the stinking shit box of what we call the current life. And we daydream about how good life could be if this would happen, if that would happen, if I could have those things. Basically, if my life wasn't my life right now, how great would that be? And that is the underlying premise for what makes us have expectations about the things that we do. In general, I advise people to be happy with their lives. And disappointment and expectations is a very, very meaningful way to look at and analyze your current life from that lens. Suppose you never get the things that you want in your life. Suppose you never get the things that you think will make you happy. Then, are you doomed to an eternal life of suffering? It sure does feel like that many, many times. But is that the constant and universal truth? Or can there be something done? Is there something that can be done in that situation that can change your view of things while keeping everything in your life the same?